Welcome back to the Derrick Lamon show here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. Last week I gave you clips from the week in gaming and the last word, kind of get you to maybe go over and take a browse look at my Patreon and find that there's a ton of content over there. Today I want to talk about something a little different. If you don't know, I am a really, really big hockey fan. St. Louis is a hockey market because we don't have an NBA team. We haven't had a consistent NFL team. The Cardinals left for the desert when in 88, so I was about 6 years old, and the Rams arrived when I was in the 8th grade, and then they departed in 2016. I've been a Niner fan my whole life because of this. We haven't had an NBA team. There used to be a thing where we would host exhibition games. Also, while we were trying to get a football team before we got the Rams, we would host exhibition football games also at Busch Stadium. They're not doing any of that anymore. We got the Blues, we got the Cardinals, and we got St. Louis City soccer. But because of this, St. Louis is a hockey town. I've grown up a hockey fan my entire life. Outside of the Blues, I check the box score to see what the Blackhawks are doing because they are our direct rivals. And then I also peek in on the Detroit Red Wings. I've been very fond of the Red Wings pretty much since I was like 12 or 13 or something like that, I think. Watching those great teams with Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov, who I was very fond of, the Russian Five, Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, so on and so forth. I remember when Dylan Larkin was drafted, seeing him being named captain, Lucas Raymond. I remember when everybody was so surprised that the Red Wings took Moritz Seider at the draft. Everybody's like, who the fuck is this kid? And then Seider goes on to win the Calder. Just talented, right? So I've seen them come and go. It has been a while since the Red Wings made the playoffs. Now, for a while, they had this streak going, and they should have rebuilt at some point and retooled, but to keep the playoff streak alive, they would just add veterans who were once at, the elite of the league, but you can clearly see that there was little rubber left on the tire and they were wearing down. So they've been trying to get back to the playoffs for quite some time now. So last night, while I was playing Mario Kart with my daughter, I was watching the Blues game and then also seeing the score of the Red Wings game. And I'm like, this is the season the Red Wings get back to the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win the Cup this year, because I know the Blues aren't getting back to the playoffs this year. We've got to rebuild. We probably should have traded Benner. Kyrou, I don't know. Some people say Kyrou's a locker room cancer. We probably could have got a nice return for Robert Thomas, but I didn't want to give him up. Somebody had to go. Trying to deal Colton Parayko and then him telling the Buffalo Sabres to eat dick he wasn't going to waive his no trade was very, very interesting. To lead to us trading our captain, Braden Shin, who also came home and helped the Islanders, who we just traded him to, beat the Blues last night, which is very disparaging. But then I'm seeing the Red Wing game, and I'm seeing how they're falling apart. So after last night, they are sitting in the first wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. It's very strange. Buffalo leads the Atlantic, and nobody saw that coming. I guess the rebuild is over there. Tampa's sitting second. Montreal is third. And then the Metropolitan, we have Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders, who, of course, won last night. In the wild card, Detroit and Boston. So we could have two Original Six franchises, actually three Original Six franchises from the East make the playoffs. Toronto's not going to make it, sad to say. They've got some problems of their own. Wednesday morning NHL standings, the Red Wings collapsed in the third, dropped them to a wild card spot with 17 games left to go. What happens from this point? Do the Red Wings disappoint again? Do they blow it again is the question. I really thought that they were going to figure it out. I thought that, Patrick Kane is more ingratiated. Brinkett, Raymond is coming along really well. Mason, just a wealth of talent. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So this comes from Yahoo Sports. Already without their number one center, the Detroit Red Wings lost their number two middleman too. Justin Falk had just scored his first goal in his second game with the Wings. Another guy we shipped out. But I tell you what, the return that we got for Justin Falk and Braden Shen, the Blues have a lot of draft capital this year. I'm hoping they make the right moves. But we've got some great draft spots, and hopefully we're going to get a top 5, top 10 pick, so that's going to help us out. Falk had scored his first goal in his second game with the Wings around midway through the game against the Florida Panthers when Andrew Kopp went down on the ice in visible pain after a mishap happened during the faceoff. He did not return. So now the Wings are without Andrew Kopp. I don't know how long. We'll see. That wasn't the only negative of the night. The Wings let a third-period lead slip away in the final 90 seconds and wound up losing 4-3 to the defending Stanley Cup champions in Amarant Bank Arena on Tuesday, March 10th. Marco Kasper's goal stood as the go-ahead one until Carter Verhaeghe scored an equalizer off a setup from Matthew Tkachuk with a minute and 30 seconds remaining. Matthew Tkachuk is a St. Louis guy. He was born in Arizona, but he grew up here. Brady and Taryn were born here when their dad, Keith, a.k.a. Big Wall, played for the Blues. Matthew went to Chaminade, famously with Jason Tatum. They had some classes together. There's that famous picture of them on the school bus when they were young and video of them in class together goofing off. And Tatum won the Larry of the NBA championship, and Tkachuk won the Stanley Cup final all within a week of each other. It was awesome to see the Larry O and the Stanley Cup come to Busch Stadium so they could throw out the first pitch. That was dope. Matthew Tkachuk will always find a way. That's the one thing I'll say. A lot of people say that Brady's the more talented one. I think Brady's a lot. They're both tough. Let me not say that. I think Brady's really, really scrappy. But Matthew, it's a joy to watch him play. Not that it's not a joy to watch Brady play either. So Matthew Tkachuk being involved in this was not at all surprising. Tkachuk scored all 3 Panthers goals in the wins over the Red Wings on Saturday in Detroit. Found Verhaeghe again for the winning goal with 14.8 to go. The Wings are now 36-22-7 with 79 points. Fell into a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference when the Montreal Canadiens beat the Toronto Maple Leafs to jump, to 80 points. The Red Wings trail the Atlantic Division leading Buffalo Sabres by 7 points. With 17 games, there's still hope. I don't think there's a lot of hope. Next up for the Wings, the 4-game road trip now continues in the state of Florida as they head north to Tampa to face the Lightning on Thursday. After that, it's west to Dallas to face the Stars on Saturday before a return home against Calgary on the 16th. The Wings started well, cycling the puck in Florida's zone and putting pressure on backup goalie Danilo Tarasov, but it was the Panthers who scored when Jesse Bospois threw the puck on the net from along the left boards. Vinny Nostroza was in position to the left of the net to tip the puck short side on John Gibson at 9:48 of the first period. The Wings didn't respond well, spinning the next several shifts, doing a little. Power play at 13:30 didn't generate much momentum either, but the Wings regained their footing before the period ended. Cribb's execution paid off 4 minutes into the second period. Alex DeBrincat swung the puck across to Maurice Sider, who fired a shot towards the net. The puck popped out to the right of the net, where Kane lurked and was able to knock it in for his 10th goal of the season. Shout out Patty Kane, a.k.a. Showtime. Wings took the lead at 12:59. Kopp won the draw, and the puck squirted across the ice to Falk. He got his stick on the puck, stepped towards the hash marks in the left circle, and angled a backhand shot far side into the net. Kopp was hurt on that play when he became tangled up with Thomas Nozick, who fell on Kopp's leg. Kopp Winston was helped off the ice, favoring his left leg. His injury comes less than a week after Dylan Larkin injured his right leg when he pulled up to take a shot in the March 6th home game against the Panthers. Larkin is on the trip. There's no real timeline on his return as of yet. Remember, that's your captain. You need Dylan Larkin out there. Dylan Larkin's not an overly skilled guy, but he makes that motor go. He is the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. And that is a very, very, being the captain of your hockey club is prestigious either way. But when you got the C for the Detroit Red Wings, that says something. That means that they see something in you. And they saw that when they drafted Dylan Larkin. Hopefully he can get back healthy. The Panthers tied at 5 minutes into the third when Nicola ripped a slap shot from the left point that deflected in behind Gibson. The Wings restored their lead with a little more than a minute, with Emmett Finney finding Kasper, who strode to the slot and made it 3-2. At 6:32, Falk drew the second assist, giving him first multi-point game since being acquired at the March 6th trade deadline. But what will the Wings do? What happens with the Detroit Red Wings from this point? Do we think that they can hold it and get back into a division lead, or do they hold that wild card spot, or do they not make the playoffs at all? What is going to happen? Looks like there's been some movement as of 5 hours ago. The Red Wings have recalled Sheldon Dries, John Leonard, and Edwards Hallmarks from the AHL Grand Rapids Griffins under emergency conditions. Someone says Odd Spring. This is from the Red Wings subreddit Odd Spring, town in Michigan. Detroit without 1 and 2 center Larkin and Cobb. This makes it 5 Griffins called up to Detroit. Don't forget the 1 2/3 for CR. C for GR also injured. 5 Griffins in the last 2 weeks, real fun. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be tough for them to make the playoff push when you got your top 2 centermen out. They're not wrong. They're 100% not wrong. Questions: how long is Larkin expected to be out? Not totally clear. He's not expected to play for the rest of the road trip at the very least. They say day to day, but then they said he's doubtful for the rest of our current road trip. It's a very minimal out until we are home Monday, but who knows? Someone else said just long enough for us to fall out of playoff contention, but soon enough that the last few weeks will be a mad roller coaster of emotions to see if we make it back in. I think Larkin and Copp are done for the season, and Todd is just not willing to admit that publicly. We're about to find out if the best AHL team in history can go .500 in the NHL for Detroit to make the playoffs. I think you guys can do it. We ran an AHL team most games this year and did better with them than our starters. This is depressing. And you have to start to question what happens at this point with a guy like Steve Yzerman. I can't remember exactly when he came back. I want to say 2018 he came back to take the job. The Shanny plan, they drafted well. They got Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner. They brought in John Tavares. They had, who's my guy in there from San Jose? Patty Marleau. They had him there. They had Joe Thornton there. They had guys in there that were supposed to help those young guys mature. And then those guys were gone, and it just didn't work out. Austin got the C, then Tavares got the C. Mitch deflecting the puck over the glass in the playoffs, taking bad penalties. Being up 3-1 on the Canadiens and losing 4-3. Just barely making it to the second round only to get their teeth drilled in by the Panthers. It's not a good time to be a Maple Leaf fan. All this shit happening cost Brendan Shanahan his job. At some point, do we start having a conversation about Steve Yzerman? That's where I'm at. And I love Steve Yzerman, don't get me wrong, but at least the Leafs make the playoffs. The Red Wings have yet to sniff the goddamn playoffs. This comes from OctopusThorough.com. 9 years ago, the Detroit Red Wings drafted Michael Rasmussen with the 9th overall pick in the 2017 entry draft. Rasmussen was chosen by then general manager Ken Holland for his size and ability to play a net front presence. Future considerations praised him for his ability to block the goaltender's view. Since then, Rasmussen has 154 points in 450 games with just 14 and 60 games this season. While the county has fallen out of favor with the front office, he's been relegated to a role on the 4th line, playing an average of 12 minutes and 47 seconds per line. This is just a slight uptick from his rookie season where he played 12 minutes and 5 seconds, and a far cry from his career highs of 15 minutes 11 seconds in 23-24. He's seeing younger players cut into his ice time and deployment while his production continues to ebb away. Last night, Rasmussen's defensive lapse resulted in the Florida Panthers scoring the go-ahead goal in the final 14 seconds of the game. It's time for the Red Wings to have a serious conversation about Rasmussen's future in Detroit. And it is. It 100% is. They are stuck between a rock and a hard place. This conversation would have happened earlier had both Dylan Larkin and Andrew Copp not suffered injuries yesterday. Until their recovery, however, the Red Wings need all the help they can get. Rasmussen will likely take on the de facto third line center role with Marco Kasper and JT Compher assuming the 1C and 2C roles respectively. You have to find out what you have in Kasper and Compher either way. This is not the way that you want to go about doing it, but I understand. It's a next man up mentality. That's the way it is in sports. Next man up. So they've got to figure this out. Now, whether this conversation is had during the season or at the end of it, conversation still needs to happen. We have a lot of guys that are just jersey on the ice, McClellan said in a post-game press conference. You don't want to be the guy the head coach is talking about like that. That was directed at somebody. Do I think he should have pulled that gentleman into the coach's office and had that conversation with them? Probably. Some guys will try to motivate their team through the media, and it almost always ends bad. So we're going to pay attention to this. Watching Rasmussen passively float around the ice waiting for the puck is an exercise in frustration. To see it happening during the final stretch of games is another thing entirely. Without a whole lot of extra help, the Red Wings are forced to play an already underwhelming Rasmussen in a situation that sets him up for failure. What the Wings can do moving forward. If enough is enough and the Red Wings decide to move on, they only have a handful of options at their disposal. The first option they'll explore is to try to trade him. Nobody's going to take him. Nobody's willingly going to take him. You have to sweeten the pot and throw something else in. While teams in the past have expressed interest in Rasmussen, the former first-rounder is playing some of the worst hockey of his career. His value couldn't be lower. Even with his poor play, the Red Wings should avoid a Jake Waltman situation where they've sacrificed high picks to get a player off the roster. They could waive Rasmussen as well, hoping that a team picks up his contract. He has 2 seasons left after this one, making $3.2 per season. Should he successfully clear waivers, he can try to find a new gear to his game in Grand Rapids. Still barring injury, Rasmussen's final game with the Red Wings should come this season. Now there's the nuclear option. If the Red Wings have exhausted all their options, there's one final option they can take, buying out Rasmussen's contract. This move would create $766,670,000 cap hit over the next 2 seasons and $1.216 million cap hit over the 28-29 and 29-30 seasons. After the 25-26 season, the Red Wings will see the last year of Justin Abdelkader's buyout come off the books. If they're truly left with no other option, they can buy out Rasmussen's contract and replace one buyout with another. They're in a bad situation here, point blank period. And the reason they're in this bad situation is because of the fact that Larkin and Kopp are down. I don't know what their plans are. They're in a position where they are absolutely pushed to the limit and they're strapped because of the injuries. Some of the other guys have got to play better, though. You need a Lucas Raymond to step up. You need a more Sider to step up. Not saying these guys haven't. You need Patty Kane to turn into Patty Kane that he was for the Chicago Blackhawks. Some of this has got to happen. Because if they don't, they're going to fall out of that playoff spot and they'll be picking in the goddamn lottery again. I know Steve Yzerman is really good. I think he's great at evaluating talent. But you've got to show these people something. You've got to show these people something. Or they're going to start to have the same conversations about Steve Yzerman that they had about Brendan Shanahan in Toronto. You don't want to see another, when you're talking about an original 6 franchise, which is with as much history as the Detroit Red Wings, you don't want to see this happen. They've got to figure this out. They have got to figure this out. I think it's a bit early to start putting the blame on Todd McClellan, but somebody's got to figure this out, point blank period. You guys are better than this. You're professionals. Get it together. Get it together. Or else you're just crying wolf the whole time. Like every season we've gone in the last couple seasons, like, hey, young Red Wings are young, but they look good. They've got a young core. This could be the season they break through and make the playoffs. I did not foresee the Buffalo Sabres making the playoffs before the Detroit Red Wings. I just did not. To be completely honest with you. So, I don't know. This is all very interesting. It's all very elementary. We shall see what happens. Red Wing faithful, best of luck. I'll be paying attention, watching from the sidelines. But man, this is just, it's very tough to see, dude. It's very, very tough to see. Anyway, that's going to do it for yours truly. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, of course nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and that's my time. Y'all have a good one. See you.